Hey guys, welcome to the Positive Experience podcast, where we look at the good, the bad and the ugly in living your best life. Today's segment is on the HEADS. The acronym stands for Health Experts and Disruptors. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome aboard to the Positive Experience podcast. My guest here is Mitch Perera. And hey Mitch, how are you?
Good, thanks, Lecky. Yourself?
Hey mate, thanks for joining us. This is a bit of a selfish podcast today because it's been many years since Mitch and I last spoke. We actually went to high school together, and I'm sure there'll be some stories that come up there. But what I might do first, Mitch, is just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and maybe just give us the origin story of where you were where you grew up and a bit of the backstory, mate.
Yeah, sounds good, mate. So my heritage is Sri Lankan, so I was born there. Parents migrated here when I was one. So basically spent my whole life here, essentially. So we grew up in Springvale, so went to primary school down there. Then high school, we sort of ended up at Mazenod College down in Mulgrave. And at that time, we moved out to Endeavour Hills. And then following that, mate, obviously, as you know, and where we met was Melbourne High later on to finish off VCE down there. So finished off VCE in 2002, and then obviously got into physiotherapy down at La Trobe in Bundoora. Finished off that in about 2007, and then been practicing physio ever since. So yeah, been working out for the last sort of 13, 14 years, which is a bit of a scary thought, mate. The grey hairs are starting to show a bit. So yeah.
It is crazy how fast time goes. So if I was to take you back to those early days, when you were at Mazenod down in Mulgrave, did you already have an inclination towards, the family was pushing education and you were already sort of heading towards something like a Melbourne high school?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Hey, I think our background being Sri Lankan, I think there is that cultural expectancy to a certain degree.
Yep.
Our parents basically gave up their certain collar jobs, I guess, back home to come over here and do sort of more trade, labouring type work in order for us to get a decent education and hopefully be able to sort of prosper where that probably wasn't a chance back home. At that time, Sri Lanka was in the midst of the civil war, which is now all pretty stable, which is fantastic. But they just saw it as a great opportunity for us to come over here. And I think educationally that was an investment for them and something that they really wanted to give us, which they may have not had the opportunity themselves. So,
awesome. Thanks for that, Mitch. So if, I definitely vibe with the migrant story. I think a lot of us can share that.
Yeah.
If we could draw from that vein, so you're heading towards the back end of high school. Did you have, any uncles or relatives, aunties that were in the physio trade, or maybe they were in health generally, or were you the first trailblazer?
Yeah, I guess I was the first trailblazer, Lecky, from that point of view. Mate, I reckon the uncles back home in Sri Lanka are too busy eating rice and curry and maybe sipping on some scotch, mate. So, no, look, I think I sort of initiated that path, but I have to say I think I was heavily influenced from my dad. He's been a mad sportsman his whole life. Done a lot of athletics, done a lot of soccer, played a lot of cricket back home. And mate, we grew up with sport. Essentially, being a migrant family, we didn't have all the money for the latest gadgets and gizmos. So it was a cricket bat and ball. And both my brother and myself, mate, we played sport from the time where we could walk, basically. And I think that facilitated us down that path of health, fitness, well-being. And here we are, I guess. Yeah.
Man, awesome. So we're going to transition the story to where you are currently with Primal and all that good stuff. But just give us a snapshot of the aha moment. So you may have been working your way as a new graduate for a couple of years. Maybe paint that picture and then bridge that to when you decide to start up your own shop.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Look, so I worked in a private clinic for up to about 10 years, I think it was. And at that time, Lecky, I had started working with a NPL soccer club. And I'd also started a little bit of postgraduate studies, so sort of Masters of Sports Physio. For me, I guess the aha moment just, I learned a lot from my 10 years, as you do at certain practices and certain clinics. But I think the biggest thing for me came out of it was a little bit of frustration. It was a moment where I was treating multiple patients simultaneously in a busy private practice, as you can probably imagine. And, I just thought I was learning all this stuff from university. I was learning all this stuff from being in a sporting environment. And unfortunately, the clinical setup, the infrastructure, the timing with appointments, the simultaneous patients wasn't lending itself to me being able to then implement what I'd learned along the way. And I think I was becoming a little bit frustrated at the whole industry at that point, mate. And I thought, look, I can either really throw the towel in here, or I could probably just take a bit of a leap and just go, look, let's just change the way I'm approaching this and do it my way, and see how we go. So yeah, that's essentially where it came from.
Man, awesome. Congratulations. I think a lot of us can resonate with that, because sometimes the best way is your own way. And
yeah, look, and as you said, it's a funny thing. I think we're always learning. Every single morning you get up and you're learning. But I think sometimes if you're not happy with it, then do something about it. I think at the end of the day, there's too many people and too many of us getting up in the morning, pretty unhappy, pretty frustrated, all that. And it's like, well, the buck stops to you at the end of the day. So either change it or, stop the bitching.
Awesome, mate. Awesome gem there. So if we are transitioning now to your main passion, so you started up your shop, you're a couple of years along now. I see through your social media channels that you're into the distance running. You're doing some great work with the 5:55 gig in the morning. Awesome. So
thanks, mate.
And you're also completing your masters, so there's a lot of hats that you're wearing. Is there a direction, what does the finish line look like for you, Mitch? Like when you've...
It's a funny thing, Lecky. When I started Primal, mate, I'll be completely honest, I don't have any aspirations of being a multi-millionaire with 10 Primal Sports physio clinics spread throughout the state of the country. I think most people that know me well would probably testify to the fact that, mate, I want to be 100 years old and I still want to be working because I love it. And I think that's what probably gets me up every morning. So that's the biggest thing for me is enjoy my work, come to work every day, enjoy it, love interacting with the patients, love treating the injuries that I'm seeing. You're instilling positivity in someone else's life. And for me, that's the greatest satisfaction, mate. So if I could be doing this gig in 70, 80 years in good health, mate, that's mission accomplished for me.
Man, that's awesome. Awesome answer there, Mitch. So, that smile that you have, I remember from high school, it's infectious, mate. And if you've got that same energy when you're practicing in the clinic, mate, you'll be up and about. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Thanks, heaps, buddy.
Congratulations. So, to ensure that the things, within the business are up and running, how do you organize your day? Like, are you a good morning person? So you plan your days out? Do you have a bit of help, with your backroom staff? Give me an idea of what that looks like.
Yeah, it's a funny sort of situation there, because as you know, mate, you mentioned before you wear multiple hats, and I sort of figured out early on where you become, that you're the physio, you're the cleaner, you're the accountant, you're the design guy. So it's literally a thing is you've just got to make the time. And I think when you love something, Lecky, as no doubt you do with ProPhysio, you will always make the time. So it's funny, my girlfriend Lauren and I, mate, I'm not a planner. She loves the lists. I actually believe I just get it done. I'm not one for making lists. I know a rough idea of what I need to do when I get up in the morning. And mate, I just get it done.
You're an action guy.
So,
great operator.
Yeah, very much so. And it's just funny. It's just find what works for you. There's no right or wrong, but that's just the way I think I'm naturally inclined. But as you can see with the 5:55 stuff, for me, it's, man, I'm up at the crack of dawn and you just make the most of your day, So more often I'm up at 5:30. I'll go to bed by about midnight. Midnight is pretty much my cutoff, and I find I work really well on 5 to 6 hours of solid sleep. Not to say that works for everyone. And then, yeah, from 5:30, mate, you're pretty much on the go, start the day with some exercise, finish that up, get a bit of admin stuff, get some breakfast, head off to the clinic, and then you just utilize any spare moment. I think Lecky is the key. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you've got a lot of things that are working well for you. What's something that didn't go so well? So, for example, an injury setback. So, to buy you some time, for example, one of my worst injuries I ever copped was a nasty concussion. I forgot my Facebook password for 2 weeks. It's so those head knocks. Yeah, I take concussion seriously. So
rugby hit.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, I suffered 3 concussion episodes in one season, and stupidly I did the wrong thing. It's just that macho pride. I couldn't run for 2 years, so just the bouncing caused pressure and headaches. Yeah. So yeah, that's my own personal sort of injury setback. And out of interest, what's yours, mate? What have you come back from?
It's a funny thing. Like I'm going to be honest and say, mate, injury-wise, knock on wood, I've been pretty good. One of the hardest things I reckon I had to deal with as a physio was going back probably a couple of years when I was working with our soccer club, mate. Pre-season, we had 4 ACL ruptures within the space of, I'd say, 8 weeks, which basically left me in tears by the end of it, mate. I remember calling the 4th guy, and I had to tell him what his MRI findings were, and literally in tears. Yeah. So it's the nature of the beast that we work in, Lecky. I think that the key is we aim to reduce risk as much as we can. There's no hard line to say we prevent, unfortunately. And, we think we've got great systems in place, from pre-season screenings through to injury prevention, through to, pre-training treatments, etc., return to play protocols, and then you cop 4 ACLs within the space of 8 weeks, and it makes you question your whole existence. Because this for me is my life. I love it. I love those boys, and you just sit there going, you've just got to reevaluate everything. So we, the coach, strength and conditioning, assisting coach, myself, you literally just have to sit down, mate, and you've got to brainstorm, and you just got this can't happen again, and who knows, mate, there is a certain element of chance with ACLs, but there is also some preventable stuff, or some risk reduction stuff that you can do. And we just had to go to and put some pieces of the puzzle together and rebuild and build a lot of morale, mate, because that was a devastating start to the season. So I think that's probably one of the hardest things I've had to deal with as a clinician in a sports environment, I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, they would definitely pull all the boys in together. They'd look for strong leadership, and, when times are tough there, that's where the leaders really rise. And just on that, because if we were to take a step back, what exactly is NPL? And if you can give us like the tiers of professionalism, like say if the top is the Socceroos and maybe A-League.
Correct, yeah.
For non-soccer audience.
Yeah, definitely, buddy, definitely. So I guess we've got the national level, which you classify as the Socceroos. Then you've got your basically A-League in Australia, and then NPL is basically the league below that. But each state has their own NPL league. Yeah. And then from then on, it flows on through to the state leagues and the more community-based clubs, et cetera. So I guess NPL 1, as it's defined, we're sort of the tier below the A-League, essentially.
So that's interesting, because in the rugby world that I'm familiar with, if, say, you got the Melbourne Storm franchise or the Melbourne Rebels, if you're not selected for the match day 22, the rest of the squad filtered down to like our equivalent of the MPL teams.
Okay.
Is that a similar situation with, say, Victory or City, if their professional squads aren't selected for the match day squad? Do they get released to NPL, or is it sort of run independently?
It's funny. So Melbourne Victory and your Melbourne City actually have an NPL squad as well. So they will actually use, so there are a couple of teams that already have their own NPL teams as well. So their players will filter down to them, and they might have some of their junior players or their they're rising stars, if you like, playing in the NPL league with the hope of going up to the A-League.
Okay.
We're also with our clubs, we don't really have a feeder club as such in the A-League, but I would have no doubt that the A-League use the NPL as a bit of a hunting ground to sort of recruit some star players and stuff like that.
Who's your club? Give them a shout out.
So it was Dandenong Thunder.
Okay.
So no longer there this year with some other stuff going on, but yeah, so I was down there for 5 years, mate. So yeah, it's good times, good bunch of boys. That change room chemistry, mate. It's amazing. I just don't think you can experience emotion like that, as you would know, unless you're involved in that sport. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like it. It's like you're going to war, really.
It is.
Not that you draw a comparison to actual warfare, but it's that primal sort of thing that gets you back almost to nature, So
yeah, 100%. It's that white line fever, mate.
Mate, so I just want to move along to our quick-fire questions here, okay? And I'm putting you under the microscope. So you drew on some of your morning routines and how you work as, an action type man. So you like getting things done. Is there something that you're grateful for that, you felt grew you into the person that you are now? So was there a tentative experience that you had during university and you knew you were going to go down the sporting pathway? Or was there, an experience you had in the hospitals when you're doing your rounds and you're interested in a certain condition? Or maybe the ACL injuries, the 4 and 8 weeks, you're deciding to go towards, putting together a study on why these things happen.
Yeah, look, I think Lecky, initially it was probably stemming from my love of sport and fitness as a kid. Mum and dad, mate, they were always like, become a doctor, become a lawyer, all the rest of that sort of stuff. And I think, I can wholeheartedly say from the time I reckon I was in year 10, probably around the time that we met actually, I could probably honestly say that my heart was set on physio. I have no doubt that potentially working or being involved with a sporting club throughout my time as a physio has then guided me along the path where I'm going now into a bit more of a specialised role as a sports physiotherapist, and also into how I model our service delivery and things like that. Yeah, so I think those would probably be the biggest influences. Yeah.
Awesome. How far away are you from finishing up the Masters?
So in my last year now, actually, Lecky, but the unfortunate thing is, Bud, with the state of obviously everything going on, a big chunk of our final year is based on clinical placements. And I had opted to do some of my placements overseas this year. So as you can imagine now, that's all put on the back burner. So
bold middle stump.
Yeah, exactly. So literally only yesterday, I basically been in touch with our course coordinator and said, look, I'm deferring this subject because, you want to get the whole experience, and I don't want to sort of just do it for the sake of doing it and not maybe get the best opportunity possible to go and work with some amazing clubs overseas. So I said, let's defer this year and we'll go back next year. So, it's a year, but more important things to deal with at this point in time, mate, people's health and safety. So,
yeah, absolutely. It'll get done. So we're going to move across to some other quickfire questions here. So if I was to pull out your phone and, whip onto Insta, who's someone that you're following quite closely because you enjoy their story, or if it's, someone for a bit of a laugh, who would it be?
Mate, I'm going to have to show you something first before I answer that question, Lecky, if you don't mind.
Oh, here we go.
You're going to be surprised you asked this question, buddy, but I don't know if you can see these two here.
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah, so those are my phones, mate. So there's actually no one's personal, one's work. The old $29 Coles phones, mate. But
oh, mate, good man.
Before I get to your question, the reason for that is, bud, it's that whole philosophy before, as I said, get up, get stuff done. And for me, mate, answer your calls, answer your SMS. That's it. Social media, Facebook. For me, there's a time and a place. I try and be fairly religious with what I do and sort of schedule time in. So, I'll upload stuff when I need to upload stuff, and then I'll check stuff as I need to, but try and book them in as appointments to do that rather than just forever be scrolling. But yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a side note there, mate. But,
No, mate, you got me. That's an awesome philosophy to live by, mate. So you've compartmentalized your day. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mate, I think an absolute champion, and I've followed this guy. I don't know. Yeah, I think I followed him before even social media. But E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah.
Eric Thomas, yeah. So I don't know if you've jumped on his stuff, but look, quite a motivational speaker. But just the way he goes about things, his energy, mate, his passion. One of my favorite quotes from him is, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and that's key, man, because there's a lot of people out there doing things for the sake of getting stuff done, but you've got to get stuff done and you've got to do it well. And yeah, I don't think there's time for mediocrity. If you really want to do something, just do it well. Simple as that. And I think he really resonates with me, mate. So yeah, E.T. the hip hop preacher.
I wrote him down in my diary here, so I'm going to check him out.
Legend, mate.
On Mitch's
I noticed you haven't missed a day in your diary for a few years, Lecky. That's impressive, mate.
Yeah, I'm a manual sort of write down a list type of guy, like Lauren.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
cool,
so
mate.
I'm just going to move to a little bit of fun here called fold or double down. So basically, if you fold, it's not for you. Double down if it's right up your alley.
Okay.
All right. So boys' night out in town or chilling watching Netflix at home? You fold on the boys?
Mate, I'm going to give you another story. Oh, shit.
I'm throwing you under the bus here.
Yeah. No, if it's been organised, I'm out with the boys. Yeah.
Good man. So he's definitely doubling down. Free tickets to Metallica. Is that your type of music? Fold or double down?
No, definitely not, bud.
No, folding. Have you volunteered at a soup kitchen?
Ooh.
Or volunteered?
I've volunteered before, not specifically at a soup kitchen. So.
Okay, good man.
Yeah.
And would you pay forward for a coffee? Have you done that before?
I don't drink coffee, Lecky, but to give you a bit of an idea, so I don't drink coffee, but obviously with everything going on at the moment, you can imagine there's a lot of hospo businesses that are really in strife at the moment. So the other day I was walking past, and where we live, there's a lot of local businesses, mate. So I popped in there, went in and put, $5 in the tip jar, and the guy goes, mate, what are you doing? I'm like, mate, just something to help out. He goes, mate, grab a coffee or something. I was like, mate, I don't drink coffee, just, here's my little contribution. So,
doing a bit for the community.
Yeah, nice. Just something small, mate. But there's a lot of businesses that are struggling at the moment. So anything you can do to help, I think, is key. So
okay.
Yeah.
And I have a time-stamped question here for the last fold or double down. It was giving away the last TP at Coles. I don't know how it is in your area, but I'm pretty sure they've restocked all the toilet paper around the way.
Yeah. Okay. Give it away, mate. Give it away. I'm sure we can make do. There's an old shirt that doesn't need to be worn again. I'm sure we can use it, Lecky.
Yeah, mate. I think one of those migrant mindset things, anything will do, just get it done.
Yeah, definitely, buddy. Definitely.
Mate, we're turning the corner, coming down the home stretch. I really appreciate your time. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and, what you'd like to share with the world? Tell us a bit more about Primal Sports Physio.
Yeah, look, Lecky, mate, I love watching your stuff as well, because I think in so many ways, your slogan there, making healthy simple, and mate, that's the reality of it. We overcomplicate so much, and I just think people want a formula, they want a recipe, they want a quick fix, but at the end of the day, for me, it's have strong relationships and strong support networks, eat clean, healthy food, exercise regularly, manage your stress, get some good sleep. And mate, I'd be very surprised if you'd done a combination of that, that things wouldn't work out. I think for us, it's just going back to basics, mate, and it's just instill those good habits in people, and mate, just get that longevity back in life. Yeah,
I'm big on that.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I vibe with you on that. I think one of the things it's kind of like an awakening where there's, Eastern philosophies now that have been long held truths are kind of making a big second wind into like the Western medical approach. Things like talking about managing your stress, wearing our physio hat. Sometimes we're also wearing, a psychologist or a counselor's sort of hat too, because empowering people to take on their own self-care. A lot of our caper is giving great advice and education so people can manage themselves. We want them out and about in the sunshine, not in the deep, dark physio dungeon.
Very much
you know what I mean? Like, and I think in that sense, we're on the same wavelength there, because you have the sporting aspect, and then you have the general population aspect, and you have health and well-being, and there's lots of different streams here of where we can help. And I think where physio is going down is we can help you across the whole spectrum of health, where maybe traditionally we may have been pigeonholed sort of too obtusely over here or over there, So I think health is a spectrum, and we all live and breathe in a part of that spectrum in terms of a journey that we're all on.
Definitely.
Sorry, mate, I didn't want to steal your thunder there. That was my sort of little speech there, but
no, mate, totally agree. And that's what I said. Like, I love your slogan and everything that you guys are doing as well, because I think there is a lot of crossover, and it really is simple. We don't need to complicate things, but I think we need to look quite holistically. And you're spot on with what you're saying. So.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, to finish off, let's maybe speak to the audience about your 5:55 journey in the mornings. Tell us about that.
Yeah, mate. So the 5:55, Lecky, it just came out of nowhere because of obviously everything going on with Corona at the moment. For me, it was. I feel like a lot of people have probably lost their routines a little bit in terms of, okay, we're working from home. We can get up anytime we want. We can't go to the gym. We're lacking a bit of motivation. So it's quite multifaceted. And I'm not a big social media guy, as I was saying to you before, but I thought, mate, now would be a great time if I can give something back and instill some positivity. I think now's a great time to have a bit of a presence on social media. And I think now's a time where people should be stepping up. And offering something, so long as they're knowledgeable in that area, I think is the key. So 5:55 is basically, as it is, 5 o'clock, 55 minutes and 55 seconds. We basically get up, get exercise going, and we start the day every day at that time. And the quiet message behind that is still keep your routine, guys, because once routine is king. Get up at a set time, have a shower, do your exercise, eat your meals, book an appointment to speak to your family and friends. Like, still schedule that day and keep that routine, And I think that for me is paramount. And so we're also looking at it as, Lecky, I'm in the process of trying to establish some connections over the following weeks, and you'll probably be someone that I call on where, every Wednesday we have a guest presenter. So it might be a boxing coach to give us a boxing session. It might be a powerlifting coach, or it might be a yoga teacher. It might be a physio to offer some advice like yourself. So, and that for me is building networks again, and, giving people a bit of a platform, as you do with a lot of your podcasts. So it's just a simple thing, mate. But once again, just to encourage a bit of routine, encourage some exercise, encourage some networks, and looking beyond your scope, and hopefully giving something back to the community during this time. It's all free, which is a big thing. So feel free to jump on board and check it out. If you like it, share it with the gang and go from there. So
awesome, mate. Mitch, thank you so much for your time. There you go, gang. So 5:55. You can find Mitch on his social media handles, Primal Sports Physio, all one word. I think the shop's in the city. It's South Melbourne based. Is that right, Mitch?
Yes, correct. Clinics in South Melbourne, 29 White Street.
Perfect.
So we're based in Fight Fit Gym, which is a great gym when they eventually open up again after all this Corona stuff is done. So if you're in the area, pop in and say hi, and I'd love to meet you all.
Awesome. Mitch, thanks for your time, mate. We'll pull up stumps there. Great to speak to you again after such a long time, mate. We won't leave it. We've got to schedule me in, like ET.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Look, yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you, mate. Absolute pleasure, and great to see some of the amazing work that you guys are doing with your crew that you're forming, mate. It's absolutely amazing. So spreading the love and yeah, as you're doing, mate, making healthy simple, which is great.
Awesome, Mitch. Much love, mate. Catch up.
Awesome. Take care, Alexis. Cheers, buddy. Cheers.